what do your stars and or future potential stars have to do to win MLS Cup 2024?
Look, we got to be ready for a street fight. Red Bull, they weren't supposed to be here, right? They've only, I think somebody said they've won 3 of their last 21 games, but those 3 were playoff games, right?
Right.
They're road warriors, and they fear nothing, right? They're already playing with house money, so we're playing against a team that's got nothing to lose, that's coming in here, that wants to spoil our party. We got to be ready. We got to be sharp. We got to be mentally focused. No let up. Full concentration, set pieces, transition. Because this is a team that can make something out of nothing. And next thing you know, you're like, how did that happen?
This is New Ground with Allen Hopkins Jr. Let's go. And Jalil Anibaba.
Up next to help us cover New Ground is a man who is very proud of his team's success, and his story is a great one as well. And we bring in now the general manager of the LA Galaxy in their 10th MLS Cup, looking for their 6th star, the man who helped construct this roster and make a bunch of the moves in front of the scenes, behind the scenes, the whole bit. We bring in now Will Kuntz to New Ground. Will, how you doing today?
Hey, fellas. I'm doing all right. Thanks for having me here.
First and foremost, it's every general manager's goal to be in the MLS Cup Final, but to be hosting one as well adds another layer of complexity, if you will. But when you think about the journey this team has been on this year and hosting an MLS Cup Final in front of some of the best fans in the league, what are some of the things that come to mind for you as you step into what can be just another great moment for you in the club?
Yeah, I think you start at the beginning, right? And that first game this year was against Messi, right? And that was our first chance to show the world who this new LA Galaxy team was, right? We had a lot of new pieces coming in, names people weren't familiar with, some people were, but nobody had seen us play yet. And even in my off-season recruitment pitch, I tell guys, hey, just not for nothing, like the first game you play with us is going to be against Miami and this guy named Messi. Don't know if you heard of him. And the building was rocking then, right? And people got to kind of feel the vibe, and you could feel the electricity. I think it was people who a lot of them showed up for Miami, but then they saw what we were about, and then that excitement kind of kept building, right? And so now, as we get ready for Saturday, we've got alumni coming back, the 2014 team, the building's sold all the way out. We're putting seats up on the berm in the north end. Warren G is going to be here. This place is going to be, not again, right? I don't know if I'm supposed to say that, but it's happening. And the vibe is right. The alumni, the interactions I've had with alumni on text, just thanking them for coming back, and you can feel their excitement. You can feel the fans are ready for it. You can feel it with the players, right? They are hyped up. They're ready. And yeah, we think back to how this whole thing started and where we are now. That's what makes me most proud, right? It's not just the performance on the pitch, it's the vibes in the stadium, it's the way the community showed up. It's really exciting.
Well, oftentimes in moments like this where so much sacrifice has gotten you here individually, the organization here collectively, it takes so much hard work, and also too things happening perfectly at the right time. And as human beings, when all of those things align, we often get nostalgic and we look back on certain moments along our journeys that really stand out. What are some of those moments along your journey and in your life that you have found yourself looking back on this week as you guys prepare for Cup?
Man, it's a great question. I think one of them is, geez, it's crazy to say that, but 21 years ago when I first started working for the Yankees as an intern, right? And just kind of reminding yourself what you had to do when you were just starting out, right? And it's not the sexy stuff. It's not working on the big negotiation, but it's just, might be running tickets down to the ticket office. It might be doing a tour for a corporate partner. It might be helping put a binder together for the coaching staff when they're advanced scouting, but just really reminding yourself, hey, how much goes into this, right? That no one person, no one player can do, right? And kind of keeping that in mind. I think back to my college basketball days, and we're Division III, but we won the national championship my freshman year. We had a really strong team coming back my sophomore year. We went all the way to the final, and we lost on a last minute, sort of buzzer beater, right? And then you realize, man, this isn't promised to anybody. right? Like, and this is hard. You can do it once, but doing it
Mhm.
twice is really hard. And you realize how special just getting to this point is and should feel. You're always kind of chasing that, right? And yeah, I remember my first conversation with Allen, ironically enough, right? I was working in baseball, but I always knew I wanted to work in soccer. And I had a conversation with Allen because he knew the, mental conditioning coach of the Yankees. And we talked about it, right? And I was like, man, am I getting ready to leave this sure thing in baseball to go chase a dream in soccer, not knowing what was out there and what the path would look like? And I think those three things have kind of come up a lot, and kind of at this moment where you think, man, like, if you did that, right? If you did all the things as an intern and you figured out how an organization works and you spent the time learning and just figuring out what's what, right? And if you never lose sight of how special it is to get here and all the sacrifice it takes, and not just from us now, now we're grown-ups, right? So it's the family, it's time away from our children, it's time away from our friends who are doing whatever they're doing, right? But the amount of sacrifice and how blessed we are to be here. And then, like, just keep in mind too, like, you got to take risks, right? Like, I've taken some pretty big risks in my life, and they paid off. And you can't be afraid, right? And I think all of that is kind of what goes into Saturday, right? Like, guys, we put in the work, we've taken the risk, right? We're here. We know how special this moment is, and now there's a little extra on top of it because we're down a brother and Ricky with his injury, right? So we got extra motivation now to make sure that we do it for Ricky. And you kind of like it's those moments just echoed forward, right? And we're seeing all that now. We're feeling all that now, and really excited about what's coming.
LA Galaxy General Manager Will Kuntz joining us. And Will, you took me back into the way, way back machine, thinking about watching BP with you at Yankee Stadium and Joe Girardi and those conversations. And one of the things that really struck me over the last couple of weeks is how many folks around the league will believe you did the best job this year and were deserving of the Executive of the Year award. Is there a moment you can point to this year? Is there a feeling that you can recall when you say, okay, this team is a championship team, now let's just go get it?
Yeah, 100%. And it's super clear. It's when we got back to the locker room after that game against Miami. And if you remember, we scored early, we missed a penalty, but Marky Delgado got a second yellow card and got ejected for a non-contact play with Sergio Busquets, right? Busquets took a dive and a fair play to him. So we drew Miami 1-1, and we get back to the locker room. And I think that's a moment where you could say, hey, we're really happy that we drew that game, and man, we've showed people who we are. But I just remember John McCarthy looking around the room and saying, guys, and John, had been there for about 2 months, right? We're still all coming together. Joseph and Gabriel had just showed up the week before. So we're still kind of coming together. He just goes, guys, if we play like this, we will beat a lot of teams. And that's a moment where you realize, like, everybody here is pissed off that we didn't win that game. Nobody here is saying, oh, geez, thank goodness, right? What a relief. We didn't embarrass ourselves. Happy to get a point. Everybody here is pissed off that we didn't get the 3 points. And, if you have that mentality with a new group that's still got a lot of coming together to do, man, like, I knew then that this group could be something special. I wouldn't have said, I would have necessarily put the house on us being here, but
That's smart money.
yeah, but I think at the point when we got here, I could see it, right? There is a clear path to getting there.
On the real, I'm not sure if you realize or you just had your head down working and grinding and you're now just coming up for air. Maybe you haven't even come up for air yet. But when people talk about the LA Galaxy this year, they are talking about roster construction. That is the first thing that they're saying. And for due cause. So that means whether they know it or not, that means they're talking about Will Kuntz. When you are bringing players in like a Peck, like a Paintsel, like a Ricky Puig, like the homie Diego Fagundes, or even the old-time homie and John McCarthy, what is the common characteristic between all of those players that you look for that you say when they're wearing any other kaleidoscope color or jersey that, nah, they're an LA Galaxy player before they even know it themselves?
That one's easy too. It's competitiveness. How competitive are you? Do you bleed when we lose, right? Do you train hard? Do you want to win in training all the time? Do you show up, right? Have you played in big games? Are you part of big moments? And whether that's Joseph Paintsfield playing in the Champions League, whether it's John McCarthy, being MVP of MLS Cup despite starting that game on the bench, if it's Gabriel Peck, coming from Vasco da Gama and growing up there at that club, if it's Mickey Yamane being a best 11 player in Japan, like if you care, right, and you want to be great, then like what better place to do it than Los Angeles, right? With this club where you've got incredible ownership that's going to support us. We've got incredible facilities, incredible sports science staff, technical staff. The fan support is going to be there, and but you got to put in the work, right? And that's one of the things I say to guys, like, this can be great, but you just have to be willing to do the work. And if you are, and like, there is no limit on how great this thing can be.
Regardless of the outcome of the final, how will this season impact the trajectory the club is on and your bigger vision for restoring this club, which you have with the host of those amazing people and support you just mentioned? But how do you stay focused in terms of the big picture and the big vision that you need to carry, while also being focused in the moment to make sure that your team has everything they need to compete this season?
It's hard. You've got to keep one eye on what we've got right now, what we need right now, and always one eye on the future and how can we get better. I think the most important thing is I think taking pride in wearing this badge, right? Taking pride in representing the organization, the fan base, our ownership. That's the biggest thing. And so as long as we're always keeping that as our North Star, I think we're in pretty good shape, right? There's always things that will go wrong, right? I used to work with somebody who said, like, every season the problems are always the same. It's just the names that are different, right? And that really is true.
Who told you that, Cash? That sounds like some Brian Cashman. That sounds like some wise. Oh, you don't have to say names, but that's some OG wisdom that you got right there.
Well, look, somebody's gonna get hurt. Somebody's
So
gonna
true.
go sideways about their contract. Somebody's gonna overperform. Somebody's gonna underperform. Somebody's gonna have beef with their partner. Like, it's always the same. But how and when it shows up is different. So you got to be ready for that. But again, it's that feeling of belief in the group, right? If you create a safe environment where people feel free to challenge each other and know that, hey, we might butt heads today, but tomorrow it's all love and we're all working towards something. I think that's really important, right? And I think the thing that I really want to build this momentum on is our fans, right? The vibe in the stadium, the feel in the stadium. I want this place to be a fortress, right? We haven't lost, and knock on wood, we'll keep a perfect record here this season, but it's got to be hard when you come here. It's got to be hard. It's got to be a little afraid of our fans, right? You got to feel it, not just with your ears, but like with your body when it gets loud, right? And that's the thing that I think we've seen. And look, I think it's also really important that we reestablish that the Galaxy are about winning, right? Not necessarily about stars. It's great if you have stars, but winning is the first thing, right? Said it in a few different places, kind of cheesy, but like, we're done star take, right? We can make stars here. You come to the Galaxy, you have as big a platform as you have.
I love it.
And if you ball out here, you'll be a legend in LA. Everybody in the world will see you now, right? There's clubs in Europe calling us about our guys, weekly, right? And they've earned that. But the sky is the limit at this club, and so as long as we win and we represent ourselves and we play hard and take pride, like, that'll resonate. And so that, I think, is the most important thing that we got to keep on pushing.
Oh, that's absolute fire. You talk
I
about
love that.
stars, you talk about winning, and you talk about chaos. One of the things that my pops used to always say to me is that the only constant in life is chaos. So therefore, you have to be consistent in what you do. And that's what coaches are trying to do. That's what players are trying to do. That's what a GM is trying to do, to always remain consistent. The last one for me is, take us from your vantage point into the game. What do your stars and or future potential stars have to do to win MLS Cup 2024?
Look, we got to be ready for a street fight. Red Bull, they weren't supposed to be here, right? They've only, I think somebody said they've won 3 of their last 21 games, but those 3 were playoff games, right?
Right.
They're road warriors. They're that old school. They're a throwback Red Bull team. Like, they're up in your business, man. They're on top of you. Flat pass is gonna get crushed. They're coming, and when they get it, they're going route one, right? They're gonna be direct. They're gonna be relentless, and they fear nothing, right? They're already playing with house money, so we're playing against a team that's got nothing to lose, that's coming in here, that wants to spoil our party. We gotta be ready. We gotta be sharp. We gotta be mentally focused. no let up, full concentration, set pieces, transition, because this is a team that can make something out of nothing. And next thing you know, you're like, how did that happen, right? So this whole week has been about concentration, making sure that we know what we want to do, that we're ready for a team that wants to do something a little bit different, that doesn't want to let us do what we want to do, but and they're going to bring it, right? Which actually I think is great because it gives us a different challenge, and you kind of want to go to battle against somebody who gives 0 Fs, right? Because you get their best shot,
Mm.
Yep.
and we
Straight
bring
up.
it. And
Yep.
actually knowing that this group is coming here the way they're going to come, they're not going to try and be pragmatic. They're not going to be cautious.
All right.
They're coming to punch us in the face, and if we're not ready for it, like they're going to get us. So I think that's keeping us on our toes, and it's going to make for an exciting match.
Will, just so thankful and blessed you carved out some time to join us here on New Ground. And honestly, there are so many people proud of the work that you've been doing. And it's definitely just a great recognition of some of the roster construction magic that's happening. And as someone who's plugged into a lot of the alums, you've really brought a lot of pride back to the folks who've earned some of those stars. So I wanted to share that with you to say congratulations. You've engaged some of the best fans, some of the best alums in this game at the most important time. And nothing happens by accident. So that 21-year journey to putting together scouting binders for some single A prospect leads you to one of the best rosters in the league. So nothing happens without purpose and intention. So congratulations. And we wish you nothing but the best of luck in the club as well in the Cup Final. But clearly the Galaxy are back to its winning ways. So congratulations. I'm sure you're very proud about that as well.
No, it means a lot, fellas. Thanks. I'll be, I think we'll be all the way back if we lift that cup, right? That's where the Galaxy really belong. But there's no doubt it's been an incredible year. So I really appreciate the words.
I appreciate you, Will. Best of luck. LA Galaxy General Manager Will Kuntz joining us on New Ground. LA Galaxy and New York Red Bulls in the MLS Cup Final this Saturday.